DJI just announced the Ronin RS3 and the RS3 Pro. So I have not used one. I don't own one. I, never touched one. I have the RSC2. But if you're looking for someone that's actually had hands-on the RS3 or the RS3 Pro, this is not that video. So just be warned. It's just my thoughts on some of the specs I've seen, some of the reviews I've seen, versus, like the RS2 or RSC2. Because I really like this gimbal. It's amazing to me that a gimbal this small, this inexpensive, that's this functional is just like so readily available. Like even just a few years ago, like this was like unthinkable. And it opens so many opportunities that I can balance the RSC2 so quickly. It can hold a decent size mirrorless camera, and it's got so much functionality. I just use the basics, and I really, really like this gimbal. Anyway, it's definitely increased the production value, for lack of a better term, of the videos that I produce. So, and it's like, it's not even $500. So the 3 came out, and me, I'm always skeptical of, does one need to upgrade it when the new version of whatever comes out? A lot of times, I buy a lot of used gear. A lot of times I really don't think you need, at least for me, I shouldn't say you, I don't need the newest stuff. I can save a little bit of money and get all of the functionality that I'm really going to use out of, like, perhaps an older model. Not always. And I think maybe the RS3 and the RS3 Pro are kind of the same way. If you already have an RS like or RSC2 or a similar gimbal and it's working fine for you, maybe there's some features that the RS3 has. Everybody's talking about how it auto locks, which is super cool, but I'm not sure that's really worth, at least for me, it's not really worth upgrading. But if you don't have a gimbal, it's a no-brainer. These gimbals are awesome. I will say, this one, I don't know if people have had trouble with this before, but this joystick seems, it seems flimsy. Like I've actually got to send it back to DJI because you see how it's drifting? Slowly turning. The joystick's got a problem, and I don't know, it got damaged somehow, and it's actually making it almost unusable. One cool thing, actually the biggest thing that I would say that the 3 and the 3 Pro have that the RSC2 doesn't have is Bluetooth, and that's super cool. And apparently you don't have to like connect it every time, it just automatically connects. Honestly, really don't see that many other features on the newer one that as a single operator would get out of it. I know if you get the I think the Pro combo version, you get like the wireless video transmitter with it. And I guess if you've got the DJI transmission system anyway, that's super cool. But I don't have that, and I'm usually operating this myself. I don't have a focus puller. Now, if it's mounted to a car, that's a different story. I could see where if I was trying to take my gimbal work like to the next level, and getting the Pro, like I wanted to put like, I guess not a larger cinema camera, but something larger than a mirrorless camera on a Ronin, a small Ronin like a Komodo or a C70 or something just a little bit larger that honestly the RSC2 wouldn't be able to handle. It just, the motors aren't strong enough. That is probably my only complaint with this, besides the stinking joystick has decided to malfunction. I like the 24-70 G Master, the 2.8, but it's so much bigger and heavier than this lens. And this is the much older Zeiss 24-70, just f4. I mean, it's a super sharp lens. It's real. I like it a lot, but the larger G Master it's honestly too big. Yes, it will. I can mount it. I can balance it, but it's just a little too heavy. It doesn't work as well as the lighter f4 Zeiss 24-70. So I always end up putting this smaller lens on, when I'm flying the FX3. And it would be nice just to have the option to go to f2 2.8, and not having to switch the lens out every time. You know, I go from like on the shoot earlier this week, we were shoot the interviews on the 24-70, and then we put it on the Ronin, and we have to change to the other 24-70. So having motors that were a little stronger, you know, that would be nice. For right now, the RSC2 does everything I need it to do. So I have no reason to upgrade, but if you're looking at getting a gimbal, they're close enough in price. I would get the 3. You can still buy the 2 and save a little bit of money, but I think with like the Bluetooth functionality, the auto locking, which I think honestly, maybe I'm wrong. I feel like it's a gimmick. It's not that hard to hit 3 little locks and lock the, you know, each axis into place. But will I be selling the RSC2 and getting the 3? I don't think so. The RSC2 does everything I need it to do. I think I would just be putting money into more functional equipment where I wouldn't use the extra functionality. And I think that's something you always have to think about. Okay, does it have more functionality, whatever the new piece of equipment is? Yes, maybe it does, but will you actually use it? And how often will you use it? Just something you have to weigh when you're upgrading equipment. Because I always want new equipment, but a lot of the time, new equipment is not necessarily the best place to put your hard-earned money. You should be upgrading your equipment on a regular basis, but you just gotta weigh where you're allocating funds. And you know, a gimbal is a really good place to put some money. It's gonna up your production value. But if you already have one, I'm gonna stick with the RSC2. That's it. I'm gonna go production company update. I'm gonna be going with Nathan tomorrow, shooting B-roll for this next episode of Hidden History. So flying the drone a lot and hopefully getting some beautiful shots. And this is like the worst. I've got to get this fixed quickly because I've come to rely on this gimbal a lot. And look, it's just spinning. The joystick is a problem. It just spins and it's getting worse. It's another problem with getting equipment. The more equipment you have, the more it's going to break. So, anyway, it's part of the business, I guess. Day 73.